Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today is a first on Openly Outspoken. I actually have two guests instead of one, which is fantastic. Kevin and Brian Harrington. Been business partners with them in the past. We still work on some deals together. We actually had a rather successful venture together from 2015 to 2017. Kevin is a really, really world-renowned and respected entrepreneur. He was an investor on the first couple seasons of Shark Tank. He's pioneer of the As Seen on TV brand. Was the guy behind so many big infomercial products in the 90s. Has literally driven billions with a B dollars in revenue and products. Has created many companies of his own that are tens or 100 million plus. Just one of the most successful entrepreneurs out there. One of the most successful people I know as well. He's always been super helpful and super gracious and kind, and our dealings together. And I wanted something different for this conversation, so that's why I brought on Brian Harrington as well. Brian is, I'm 30 years old. Brian's a couple years older. We're similar age. He's a really, really smart guy. We get along. He is starting to take over a lot from his dad and what he's doing, and obviously he's got a great opportunity to learn. And Brian's just such an amazing dude as well. Built a great relationship with him over the years. So we had some great discussion about what it's like being a father and son working together. Some crazy stories from Shark Tank that you may not have heard other places. I asked him how I get involved in all these public companies like they're getting involved in. So it's a really good conversation. It's funny how these things work. Because I end up connecting with people that I maybe haven't chatted in a while, and we legit hey, let's reconnect and discuss business, and all because of this podcast episode. So if people listen to it, great, but if not, I got some gain out of it, right? So like always, if you like the episode, please rate 5 stars on iTunes. Please write a review if you're feeling extra nice, and most importantly, tell your friends about it. Share the episode, and I really enjoyed catching up with those guys. I know you'll enjoy the episode.
This is Openly Outspoken with Jeremy Adams, where differing opinions are not only accepted, they're encouraged.
All right, Kevin, Brian, we're live. Thanks for being on today.
Great being here, Jeremy. What's happening, man?
Thanks for having us.
Of course. And I wanted to do something different because Kevin's just been all over the place with interviews lately. And I'm like, I need to have something different. So that's why I wanted to loop Brian in, because he's running everything nowadays anyway. Right, Brian?
Listen, we all have fun together. It's a good family atmosphere here.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the family stuff, but you just mentioned before we went live that, and I forgot about this, today is election day that we're recording. It'll go live a few days from now. So we were together today's election day and election day 2016. So
yeah,
we were at Ruth's Chris and St. Pete. Do you remember that?
Ruth's Chris and St. Pete. I remember that.
Probably the worst meal we've ever had. So I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, we sent all those steaks back. I don't think I've ever sent a steak back at like a high-end place like that the way we did.
I think a few got sick that night, and of course Hillary Clinton got sick that night.
Yeah, we all thought Hillary was going to win, and then it didn't happen. So, and then obviously we, business changed after that. So what's it like working together as a family? Do you guys get in fights or drive each other crazy? Is it pretty smooth? What's that like?
I'll start. I mean, I think Brian, we grew up, he grew up in Philadelphia area, and I lived up there for a number of years, but then I moved to Florida in a venture with Home Shopping Network. So Brian and I hadn't lived together in a number of years. He went to Penn State, but when he started in the business, he had to move here and spend a couple years. I think, how long was it, Brian? Was it 18 months or?
I was there, I think, 23 months.
23 months. So he came down. We had this was right at the beginning of the transition out of the world of As Seen on TV. Not that we're out of that world completely, but we owned As Seen on TV Inc., AsSeenOnTV.com. I mean, that AsSeenOnTV.com was an amazing website without spending a dime on a monthly basis of ads, zero advertising budget. We had months we would do $2 million in sales in a month. And so, I mean, it was an amazing asset. Brian learned all about the As Seen in TV business, structuring from product development to production to media to operations to fulfillment. He spent 23 months really in a boot camp of getting a really good understanding of the product business and all of that. And then we decided, hey, this stuff, it's getting tougher. There's lots of challenges, fewer people watching TV, Amazon competing like crazy. We decided to sell it all, and we did. And we came out great. We sold As Seen in TV Inc., AsSeenInTV.com. And it was a fantastic situation because, we had at the time, you get tied up with overheads and people and all kinds of things. And we saw the handwriting on the wall. This business is starting to slip. In fact, if you look at the numbers, Brian, we saw some numbers recently. They're probably the monthly visitors is at best 10% today what it was back when you were running the business.
It's funny. We actually just acquired SeenOnTV.co like 2 weeks ago. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, no, but also to answer your question, Jeremy, I mean, I fight more with my little brother who works with us than I do with my dad. So, we get into it a lot more just because, kind of holding each other accountable and responsible. But, my dad and I, we have a great working relationship. Very rarely do we get in. I mean, we never get into like fights. Per se. We do disagree on various things here and there, and for me, I just use it also as a learning opportunity, and because every day I'm learning new stuff, new things, and as we probably all are, right? Where he's probably learning things from me, on the digital side, and things from my perspective and my experience, because everyone always has different experiences going through things. So, but no, we don't really fight, like per se. So
I didn't know Nick was getting involved in the business. That's exciting stuff. It's a legit family business now.
What's it been, like 2-3 years, Dad? Something like that?
Yeah. Nick joined us. We have a venture with the Zig Ziglar family, Tom Ziglar and the family, and that's been a reasonably decent asset for us. But then, so Nick was involved in that business, and then just recently we invested in a patented new roofing technology that prolongs the life of roofs, so you don't have to replace your roof. It's a revitalization process, and we invested in the parent company, and we now have 300 franchisees, and we're opening 22 territories ourselves in the state of Florida. So Nick is involved in the roofing business now. So really enjoying it, having a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, I remember I saw Nick at that little mansion party in Orlando. Do you remember that? What was that?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I ended up using Nick's bathroom, and I walk out, and Nick's like there, and he didn't know I was in the bathroom. I think he's just like standing next to his bed. I was like, "Oh, hey Nick, how you been, man?" It was like a good way for us to reconnect. What's the longest you think you guys have been without talking in like recent memory?
Ooh.
Oh, Brian and I, we'll go a couple days.
Probably the weekend, right? I mean, we pretty much
long weekend. Yeah. Very seldom, much more than that, because we've got. I don't even know what the number is. The other day I asked Brian how many companies do we have equity in. I know it's dozens, but it's probably 35, give or take. Out of 35, there's probably 10 that are really at the, obviously you can't spend the same amount of time on every deal that you do. So, and that's important for us to define that in a contract up front, because I get very concerned about the deliverables and what's expected. And, we had some ventures in the past where we owned 10% of something, but we were getting, we're spending an hour, 2 hours a day building something that was never going to really be anything significant. So we just said, hey, look, take the equity back. We don't want the equity. So this is one of the things now that we're a lot choosier on, and that is, because, hey, people come to us and say, we want you to have some equity in our business so you can help us make it grow. But what they really want is to be able to talk to you on a daily basis, and they want a lot more than we're really figuring that it's going to take. So we've had to make some decisions there, because you just can't focus on too many things at once. So I'd say we probably have about a good 8 or 10 significant projects that take up about 80% of our day.
That's awesome. I want to ask you what's most exciting currently, but before I do, I listened to your Jordan Belfort interview before this for a little bit of prep, Kevin, and
yeah,
how do Max and I get shares in public companies that end up being worth tens of millions of dollars, Kevin? Can you give me the insider secret to getting board seats and millions of shares in public companies?
Yeah, Brian, if we counted how many shares we have, it's north of 100 million shares in different companies now. And so it's funny you mentioned the Jordan Belfort the other day at our board meeting, Brian, they were all giving me accolades for the Jordan Belfort interview. I guess they
really?
Followers in the stock market. So this is
that makes sense. Yeah.
It's Celsius, and who would have known that? Here it is. We're both drinking the same.
Big fans.
Yeah. Every day. The peach is the best.
So 6-7 years ago, when I got involved with these guys, I remember I had lunch with the chairman, and the stock was 10 cents. And he's like, hey, look, we want to do a deal. And they've been talking to Tony Little, and Tony Little actually turned down a couple million share deal because his lawyers said, oh, we don't want you putting your brand on a penny stock like this little startup company. And so my buddy, Jerry David, was involved. So I said, Jerry, I'd be happy to help you out. So by the time I signed my papers, the stock had gone to 22 cents. So still, it's unbelievable. Here we are today. The doggone stock is above $20. So who knows? We've had some amazing runs. I had one on the New York Stock Exchange go from $1 to $20. We had another NASDAQ stock went from $1 to $18. The biggest hit is 22 cents to $22 because it actually topped at 22 bucks. But this is a $1.7 billion company now.
Yeah.
So look, Jeremy, you guys have a skill set, and there's companies out there that are public companies, and if you can tie in your skill set to what they need, you should be able to get some equity.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You know what we do sometimes. Like I subscribe to Investors Hub email list, right? Every day they're sending news releases out about companies, right? And it's an IR thing. They pay for all that, I'm sure. But like, we just look at so many different companies, especially that are public. Like, for example, we're working, I won't say the name, but we're working with a public company right now. They have an amazing, innovative product that we really liked. We did a lot of research on the company, due diligence. We looked into it. And we're like, we think that this product could be a hugely successful product. So, Jeremy, with what you guys do, having your marketing, your marketing engine that you have, you could just reach out to these companies that you see products that you like, because a lot of these small public companies, they may or may not have a lot of cash, but they need help expanding their marketing and their distribution. How could you help them sell their merchandise, their goods, their services, whatever it is? And it's sometimes a lot easier for them to give you stock than it is for them to give you a boatload of cash to do it too. So, that's one way that you guys could go and approach that also.
Yeah, we'll have to catch up on some of the deals we're doing, but we launched a couple of our own brands, and we have maybe like 10 or 12 clients, and we're doing some pretty massive volume. Like, I know we could be doing like some damage with some of these public companies. So maybe there's some opportunities for us to do some biz together, because we're building out our team. We're not a giant team now, but we have like 12 full-time W-2 benefits and continuing to grow. So like we're doing some massive volume for some brands that you guys are familiar with. So
cool.
maybe there's some opportunities for us to loop in some partnerships.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, because I don't know if you know, Kevin, but I'm 30 now, and I'm working too much. So I need to get some shares and stocks. I need to start building for the future, man. You know.
That's what you need to do, man. You know, once you hit 30, you're over the hill.
Yeah,
you know?
downhill. Yeah. So
I beat you by 2 years, so it's all right.
Yeah. And it's downhill from here. That's what I've heard. So
I'm surprised I'm still walking at my age.
Yeah, that's actually important because my friend Dave LaRue, Kevin. You guys are basically the same age.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like you're less or more motivated than you were 10 years ago? Because I even get kind of like exhausted from business, and I'm impressed. Like you have more energy than me.
This is the thing. I'm less and less interested in craziness. I'm more interested in kind of taking it easy a little bit, but I still get excited about deals. I still, I'm still working weekends and nights. And I got an 8:00 webinar tonight to a big multi-level marketing company that we've got signed up 200 distributors to use our marketing systems. And I do that every single week for an hour, give or take on a either a Tuesday or a Wednesday night. And then Brian and I, we've got another. I try to minimize my time not to be into the evenings, because like I get up at 6 a.m. go. I don't work out every single morning, but 2-3 days a week. So I get a good jump start on the day. And so I try to wind down 5:30, 6 o'clock, but sometimes I'm even into the evenings doing stuff because, hey, there's West Coast situations that, it's at 6 o'clock our time, it's only 3 o'clock on the West Coast. So it's tough getting everything jammed into our East Coast time frame. But yeah, I'm slowing down a little bit, but still pumping hard.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you're slowing down, but you'll like a guy like you'll never be able to take the fire out of that your brain, right? I mean, right. You'll be 95 years old, still doing deals and thinking about the next vision that you're thinking about, type of thing, right? That'll never leave you. So
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope I make it to 95.
I was trying to pick a high number there.
Good round figure there, 95. That's good.
Kevin, you're gonna blast past 100, man. The energy, like
Hey.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it to 60. I mean, it's insane. What's the most exciting deal or opportunity you guys are working on currently, or just the most exciting thing in your lives right now?
Well, I would say, first of all, I always talk about the things that are making a lot of money. So Celsius has been really cool. And this is the crazy thing, Jeremy. In May of this year, that's only 6 months ago, that stock was $4 a share. Okay, it's because of COVID that it went up, and it's because the company's strategies direct to the consumer were and these fitness influencers. I mean, we have over 1,000 Instagram influencers pounding out every single day. So we have Amazon and direct to the consumer. And so while the industry was kind of flat because people weren't going in the stores, Celsius was surging because people wouldn't do without it, and they were getting it on a direct basis. So that's something that I love, because when I got involved with the company, they wanted me to be involved in things that normal companies like that weren't doing. And that's, I brought in Flo Rida, and we brought in Khloe Kardashian, and we helped them raise money, and we helped them go direct to the consumer. And look, I'm not the one to sit here and take any or all of the credit or anything. It's a team effort. There's a great board. My buddy was the CEO, Jerry David. He retired, and now John Fieldley's doing an amazing job. But together, we have all met on a level that said, let's do this and let's make it happen. And from $4 to $22 in 6 months has been amazing during these difficult times. So that project is very near and dear to me. I will also say that this RoofMax company, when we first met these guys, this is a 3-year-old company that has 600 locations covered now with 300 franchises. And I use the word franchise. It's a dealership, right? 300 dealers. So the bottom line is that we own a big chunk of the parent company that is the it owns all these dealerships, but we also own our equity here in the state of Florida for 22 territories. So we're building out. We have an office at Armature Works. We got trucks. Brian can pull up one of our trucks and show you it. We got trucks out. We're doing, our biggest week so far is we had sold 6 deals in 1 week, and now we're just now rolling that business out.
We just launched it too, so
yeah. It's literally weeks old now, and we're already crushing it. We shot an infomercial. We're doing digital. We're doing a lot of great things across the board. So those are 2 exciting ones. Brian, do you want to talk about the charging situation? You want to share that with Jeremy, or?
Well, listen, we have a lot of cool products also. By the way, let me step back. You also asked about life. I'm having my 3rd kid, which is the most amazing thing for me. So
every time I talk to Brian, the kid, I'm like, "What you been?" He's like, "I got a new child." Like,
listen, we had a plan. Let's knock 3 out as quickly as we can, and that's holding true. So that's coming very soon. I'm a crazy man for doing it, but it's the best thing ever.
Well, congrats.
Yeah, and listen, I will second what Kevin said too. RoofMax, it's amazing to see this company that was started by 2 brothers just a couple of years ago who came from the roofing industry, and now is creating this just amazing, unique, proprietary business that they've created, and it's growing like weeds. Like it's unbelievable their team that they have is absolutely top-notch team. I've never seen such a good internal executive team that they've assembled. And on its way to what I believe is going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. So I'm very excited about that. We've got some great products too. That's one thing that we've never been able to get away from is the product world. We probably have a dozen plus good selling products right now. We're excited very much about this new product that we launched that's out of Australia actually. But it's this whole sports. It's a sports line of baseballs, basketball, football, soccer that actually glows in the dark. It's called Charge Ball.
Wow.
And we launched it like a month ago, and I've never seen such success right out of the gate. So even bigger than some of the good deals that we've worked on, Jeremy. This thing has been screaming from the second we started selling it. So very excited about that. And there's a bunch of other products too that, we don't have to talk about, but a lot of good stuff.
Well, congrats on all that. So when you guys do deals together, how do you divide and conquer your roles? Like who's doing what in a deal typically between you and Kevin?
Well, it's interesting. We have a good team also. So it's not just us. We have we have a handful of people on our team who do various different things. So it depends on what we're doing. Kevin's like the frontline guy, right? So he's the guy who not only who everyone wants to talk to, who everyone wants to get advice from, and the visionary type of guy at high level. Not necessarily getting into weeds and execution of a lot of it also depends on what our deliverables are. But so and me, I kind of run the kind of the team on a day-to-day basis depending on what we're doing. But we have a great team, so it's not just us two either.
I think I kind of bring the projects in because I'm out doing what I do. For the book promotion, I think we hit pretty close. I think that like 160 podcast and media appearances, right? I'm doing those. That's bringing in the calls. Now we then have to take and figure it out. Brian's got a staff of about 5 people now, and we've got a couple, a couple of our lawyers that we have involved, and we also use a couple of other outside law firms too. So we have kind of like at least one full-time lawyer in-house with another one part-time, and outside law firms we've got 2 or 3. 5 people to help execute all these things, and so we've got a really tight little group and a staff, and the world of digital has been very good for us, because many of the companies that we're talking to, they have not really, COVID hit, and now they're like, what am I supposed to do? And it's like, well, they never really even had direct to the consumer strategies prior to COVID, so they weren't on Amazon, and they weren't on Facebook, and they weren't doing, and it just blows me away, because I talk to the mass market. Sometimes, Jeremy, we run in circles where we're running with a lot of digitally savvy people, and you never think, well, who doesn't even know about some of the things that we know about, right? Well, yeah. The mass market doesn't know about it, okay? And so, mass market of entrepreneurs. I mean, I had 5 coaching calls in the last 2 days, and 4 of them are digitally nowhere, and it just blows me away. So there's great opportunity out there.
Yeah. So I know you guys are getting more selective, which that's great. So what kind of deals get you excited right now? Like, what's a deal right now that you would be like jumping all over? What does it take at this point?
I can answer that very easily, because we've kind of been dancing around it. One of the things that I love about public companies is when you get the stock certificates, they're tradable. So if they've gone up in value, you've made money. So the biggest challenge that I had at Shark Tank, for example, think about this, Jeremy. You're leaving your house and you're saying goodbye to your family. Hey, I'm going out. I'm going to be filming Shark Tank, and by the way, I'm probably going to need $1 million to spend on some deals. Okay, great. And you're going to invest that? Yeah, I'm going to invest $1 million this weekend when I shoot Shark Tank. Well, when are we going to get that back? Oh, I have no idea. Maybe never. Okay. So it's like, that was my life, because I was putting money into private companies that were probably not going to grow to big, huge situations where there's going to be an exit. Okay. So I don't get as excited about small private companies that aren't growing as I do a public company that's growing, that has a stock that starts at 10 cents and goes to 20 cents and goes to $2 and then goes to $5. That's the beauty of Pubco. So just recently, we got a phone call. Hey, we've got a Pubco. Do you want 1 million shares? Be an advisor? Yeah, we'll take it. And this isn't like a 1 cent stock. It's not. It's close to $1 stock, right? So these are the kinds of situations that we love to get involved with. Are Pubcos that need our capabilities.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I'm saying, Kevin. We got to do like a how to get advisory shares on Pubco trainings, because that's what we need to start doing, because we're driving some massive revenue for some brands, and we're creating one of our brands we just launched is already doing over $1 million a month, and we think we can get it to 2 or 3 plus, and it's not even a year-old company. Like we're good at what we do. It's just like, how do we leverage that skill set and knowledge to get involved in the biggest upside opportunities? And I think what you're getting involved in some of those, like these public companies, like I know we can help a lot of these guys, and it's just like, we're doing well now. I'm very grateful, but I'm like, I know there's more. I know there's some bigger upside. So
and let me add to that too. The one thing that turns us off is when someone comes to us and we realize they're looking for us to literally do everything. We never want to be, like where we have to literally do everything that the company needs, right? And when they're desperate for money, they have something, but they haven't thought of the plan, how they're going to raise money, how they're going to market, how they're going to operate the business. That's not what we want to see.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to add value, but not do everything.
Not be their golden ticket.
That's right.
No, we're the same way. Like a lot of the brands we work with, they already have everything figured out. They just need ads. Like we're not having to create everything for them. They're just like, hey, we're already, doing X amount of revenue. We want to double it. But ideally we're already doing 2 million a month in revenue. We want to do 4 million a month in revenue or whatever it is. So it's like we're not proving this shit out. We're making it more successful. Nice. Which is crazy. I just referenced that I turned 30 recently. I don't know if you guys know, but when we started working together, I was 25. I feel like I'm stupid now, Kevin. Back then, the fact you trusted me to do business, man, I felt like I still do a lot of dumb shit, let alone 5 years ago. So what do you think was the biggest in the quantum venture? What do you think was the biggest learning lesson and biggest positive takeaway that you guys took from like future deals?
Well, I think that we all assumed a little too much. Maybe this is one of the challenges you run into in ventures with partners. It's like sometimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. We're buying media. Are we shipping? Are we getting returns? So I think there was a lag time of getting information. And I think there were some media sources that we probably shouldn't have continued to run with. I just think things are a lot tighter nowadays in how we run campaigns, and I'm sure they are for you also, because all of a sudden we were just spending. I mean, what did we get that campaign up to weekly? $100,000 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were spending quite a bit of money. Yeah.
No, we were doing 100 something grand a day.
100 grand a day in media.
Oh,
right?
I don't know about me, Jeremy. I don't remember.
Yeah, we definitely had 100 grand plus days in revenue. I don't remember what the height at media was because we were doing a lot of affiliate traffic. But regardless, there was a lot of money going in and out in a little small company that we kind of it happened really quick. I mean, in everybody's defense, I'll say it just grew really, really quick, and I don't think any of us were like necessarily prepared for that, and we didn't like plan out like, hey, what if we 100x revenue in the next month? Like we weren't necessarily planned for that.
I mean, I think we made mistakes with we brought a lot of people on, and there were salaried people, and sometimes that's disruptive for folks. They got to. Some people had to move, and I don't like disrupting people's lives, and so I just think that. I think the good news is we came right out of the box with amazing sales. I mean, I know we did millions. I don't know if it was 8 or 10 million or whatever the number was, but I mean, it came out of the box hot, and we assumed we were making a lot of money. When the dust settled, we didn't. And that's shame on all of us for not, we didn't keep our eye on the money good enough. And in all honesty, I mean, I can say that that's been part of my challenge over the years, and that's why I was hoping for you young guys to get in there and watch the money a little bit better, because
that's what we'd hoping you would do, Kevin.
Yeah, we were watching it come in and go out. So
yeah. I remember Brian called me like one morning at like 7 a.m. Do you remember this, Brian? He's like, Stripe just took like 90 grand out of our account.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, I had that happen to me years ago. It was 2 million.
Jeremy, I don't know an exact answer. It's interesting because I think back about it. Like, I feel like we all learned a tremendous amount from that year or whatever it was. It's tough to pinpoint exactly, but learned a lot about like how to work with people, how to hire, who to hire, and more about just kind of like, because this was also, I don't want to say it was the beginning of like Facebook advertising, but it was, it was 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was. So, there was still a lot that everyone was kind of going through and learning, and I think it definitely helped all of us. I would probably say.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm super, super grateful for the learning experience and everything. This is just a random question. Brian, you can answer it. Kevin, is there any areas, and you're not expecting what I'm about to ask you. I just think this is a good question. Any areas, honestly, that I could improve as a partner? If there's any like glaring weaknesses of mine, you'd be like, if Jeremy fixed this, he would just be a fucking badass.
Huh.
That's on your own situation, not something you could help us with.
Yeah. Where are areas you think I could have improved as a business partner?
Oh,
I don't remember.
That's a good question. I mean, I would say that, look, you when we started working together, you were 25 years old. I sometimes forget that I deal with people that I've been dealing with. In some cases, I've got people that have been in my networks for 35, 40 years. And so you're used to a certain kind of way of doing business, right? So I think it's tough for young guys like yourselves to make all those connections. So I think you did a pretty good job, but I'd say the most important thing in my mind is getting your capabilities announced to the industry, and I think you and Max did a great job of that. Doing podcasts and I never forget the way we ended up doing business. You called me and said, "Hey, Kevin, you're not doing much in the way of your social media, and I think I can help you, and I'm willing to do it for no charge, just to show you how good we are, and then you're going to want to recommend us and or do business with us." So that approach is amazing, and it worked, and it got us in business together. And I don't know if you did that very many more times, but maybe I would say you could have done that another 100 times, and it would have played well for you.
Yeah, for sure. And I never told you this, but Ian hated that idea. I was like, "Ian, you just gotta trust me." He cried about it for weeks straight. He's like, "I don't want to do free work." I'm like, "Ian, it's part of business, bro. What do you like?"
Hey, every time you mention that name, I don't even say anymore.
Yeah, no, but it was funny. But yeah, I've done that a few times. I mean, I think it's just important sometimes to just build relationships, and the long-term opportunity outweighed the what would I send you an invoice for a few grand? You know what I mean? The upside, I was thinking 5, 10, 20 years down the road, not hey, I'd love to make a few grand or whatever it is that.
Yeah.
And I was already doing well with my manufacturing business. I didn't care that much about an extra few grand or whatever it would have been. So the long-term upside was more important.
Hey, are you still doing some of that manufacturing stuff?
Yeah, so long story short, we sold the business. Wasn't a big, glorious exit, but we got some cash. I have a royalty earnout for 6 years. It just became really, really stressful, really capital intensive. Unicorn was taken off. My other partners, the guys that own Brewster's Ice Cream, that's over $100 million a year ice cream company, they're just this is becoming too much of a headache. So it's just the headache and the partnership dynamic. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but there was some stealing going on in the
no way, really?
I mean, just I don't want to get in trouble for it. Just there was some shady stuff going on amongst team members and partners, and it just just gets to a point where it's not worth it. The headache isn't worth the whatever income you're making, and I cared about my peace of mind more than anything, so we just decided to sell the company for a lot less than we probably could have and just move on.
Jeremy, remember when we had an employee steal out of our bank account every single day, and we just never realized it? Do you remember that?
No, I know. That's why I was kind of making a joke with that. I don't know if you guys have ever.
She got 70 grand. That was the stupidest thing that we could have done. Very stupid, but. That I forgot about that.
And now I'm hearing it again. I remember this.
You remember that? It was $70,000 over 3 months.
Went after this girl, did we?
Well, no, we never did. There was really no. It was a tough road, so we never did.
Well, why? And again, I don't even know if she was intentionally this smart, but it ended up being smart. Is because we had our store, and it would purchase stuff from Amazon. We were buying it wholesale and then retailing it, so we would have thousands of Amazon expenses a day, thousands of dollars in Amazon expenses a day. So she would just do 500 in Amazon here, 300 Amazon here. And when we're looking at reports, we just think it's part of our COGS, hey, this is our products we're buying wholesale. So it just kind of blended in until a couple months we really started trying to look closer at the numbers, which again was my mistake, Max's mistake. I mean, we just were growing so fast, and then we realized like, hey, like, what the fuck is this? Like, she was buying like child's dolls and stuff.
She was.
Yeah.
She was taking money out of the ATM machine too.
Yeah,
so.
That's what triggered it. Is we're like, who took like, I think the max you can take out of a debit card is like $500 or whatever it was.
700 a day.
Yeah, and we're like, who withdrew? And that's what she got. Like, yeah. I mean, that's when I guess you just everybody. It's like American greed. Like, they never get caught until they just like get real ridiculous with it. And like, once we started seeing cash taken out of, like, I don't think there was ever a cash withdrawal in like 2 years until we're like, who just withdrew $700 in cash and that's what triggered it. What that was, I mean, again, all that stuff, like, looking back at it, I feel like my intentions were good, and like, but it's just a lot of inexperience, and it, like, again, none of that stuff's happened since, you know, but unfortunately it takes
I mean, I got another memory, because here was another deal that we all had equity in. And this, you remember the Peeps deal, this little product, this is still continuing to crush it. It'll be a big hit again, fourth quarter this year.
I mean, yeah, Peeps was awesome. I mean, we have a relationship with Giddy Up. I know they're still doing some volume with Peeps after all these years. So
yeah. So do you guys have some products that Giddy Up's moving out for you?
Not right now, but we're on the traffic side. So what we've just decided to do as an organization, we have a few like consulting relationships here and there, but you guys know client work is a pain. So what we do is we have relationships with networks like Giddy Up, and you know, our team's good at what we do. We're, you know, building more and more credibility and trust in the space. So they'll front some ad spend budget. They'll do everything they can to, like, we run traffic to offers. So we would run traffic to an offer like Giddy Up rather than bringing them products. Or like, so if you guys brought them a product, we would be a person they'd reach out to and say, hey, you know, scale this product. And it's just a way more simple relationship than client work. We just do whatever we want. We don't have to deal with the stress of, like, you know, certain people calling it like Sunday at 5 p.m. being like, why the F? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to deal with anything, and we just get to sleep good at night this way. So, and the upside's much larger as well, which is great. Much larger. I mean, there's been offers, we've done 10, 20K profit days, you know, that's just from a single offer. Like, you can't make money like that from a client retainer. You know what I mean? So what, do you guys want to talk about the book at all? I know that's been a big focus of yours, and I know that's really exciting. Congrats, by the way.
Yeah, you know, it's the book is here it is. This is a book we did with Hay House called Mentor to Millions, and hey, we hit obviously we were strong all across Amazon, 9 categories, #1. We hit the USA Today bestseller list. And the one that is really powerful for us, because Wall Street Journal actually is based on number of books sold and data, whereas New York Times, it's editorial decision. So Wall Street Journal, based on sales, we hit #2. So behind Dan Rather. So we had #2 on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list, 1 on Amazon, up there on the USA Today. We had a really good launch, and it's been a good thing. And mentoring is something that's been near and dear for me for many years. I've had a lot of mentors in my life, starting back. I had my first mentor when I was 11 years old. Well, it was my father, Charlie, that was telling me, you need to be an entrepreneur someday, son. There you go. Ryan's got a few. Anyway, you know, across the board, the mentors can change entrepreneurs' lives. And I mean, just think about, I mean, if you look at some of these little Pubco situations, you know, there's little things that happen inside companies that change the trajectory forever. And so for me, I ran into a finance guy way back when I needed capital to build my business, and he walked into a bank that had turned me down and got me a $3 million loan. And I'm like, how'd you do that? He's like, that's what I do. I'm a banker, and I don't do that. I'm an entrepreneur knocking on doors, making sales. So, mentors can bring amazing success and help to a company's life, and Mentor to Millions is all about the journey that I take with one of my mentees, Mark Tim, who and we go through our journey, and there's a magic transformation, and we have a lot of fun along the way. So tell a few stories along the way also.
No, that's awesome. I know, Brian, you reached out. Can we still contribute to that? Can we still buy some bulk books and stuff?
Yeah, whatever you guys want.
All right, we'll hook it up. We'll help it out. We'll buy some books for. We have our mastermind event coming up. We're actually going to do an in-person event. Someone's got to do the first one, Kevin. So I'm like, F it, we're going to do it because
cool.
It's a bunch, mostly young people anyway. So they're pretty, they don't really care. So we're going to, and December 9th and 10th, we'll buy some books for our mastermind members and team members. So I'll coordinate that with Brian.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you.
And we'll, any, signed copies you want to throw in there and stuff too, we'll work something out.
Yeah, I can do that. Not a problem.
So I have two more questions for you guys, and then, two things I want to get to. One is Shark Tank related, so I'll save that till last. What a friend of mine, it's a female friend actually, we're not official yet, so I'm not going to say she's my girlfriend. I don't want to give her that credit, but so it's a female friend of mine. She is in a corporate job. She really wants to leap and start her own business, but I only can give her so much advice. She's tired of hearing it from me. So what would you say to people, Kevin or Brian, that are in the job, they're capable, they're smart, they know they want to do their own business and take that leap? Now, how do they get that confidence to take that first leap? Which is so many Americans, right? We all agree that entrepreneurship is the backbone of this country. How do we get more smart people to leave their job and start creating jobs and creating opportunities?
That's a great question, and I think I have. Let me grab my book that I wrote many years ago. This actually, no one ever hears about this one, but 30 years ago, that exact question was posed to me, and with the Gulf War had hit, and there was massive, just like this pandemic is causing big problems. I lost 90% of my sales 30 years ago when the Gulf War hit. And so I said, I don't ever want this to happen again. So you can't put all your eggs in one basket. Get a side hustle. So this book was published in 1990, okay? And I ranked the top 100 side hustles in America back then. And so I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still doing side hustles. My father was he owned restaurants, but he had a vending route for lamination machines, and he had a vending route for vinyl repair kits to repair benches in restaurants and chairs. So he had a repair business, and he had a lamination business, and I was involved with him with all these things because he said you need a side hustle. Now, side hustles are for extra income, but they also can be for somebody that's in a job that can't just quit the job and lose all that full-time income. But as you get your side hustle going, now, once you get that revenue stream up and you can now see light at the end of the tunnel, now you can make that move. So the rule of thumb is you should have more than 100% of your income duplicated on the side hustle side before you quit that job, because you need to be able to survive depending on what your financials are. But it's, I do believe that it's important. COVID has changed a lot of people's viewpoints, and they're coming out with different ideas and different passions. And somebody that maybe, I had an event 2 weeks ago with Todd English. He's a famous chef, right? And he, olives at the Bellagio. And so I'm sitting with Todd. You think Todd is on top of the world, right? He's got 45 restaurants. 41 of them are closed.
Damn.
And so he's like, what the hell? Who would have guessed this? So it's a rough world out there, and folks that see some other opportunities should be planning for that and moving towards that in a practical fashion.
See, yeah, I agree. Let me add something to it. I think the whole concept of just getting started, I think, is important because everyone, but also kind of going back to what Kevin said is it also depends on your financial situation. I would never say quit your job and go explore your entrepreneurial spirit and passion because if you don't have enough money saved up or you don't have someone to support you, you could literally be homeless, especially if you're building some technology or something that's not going to create revenue for you right away. But like I have friends that hate their job, that are miserable, but when they come home at night and weekends, they're playing Xbox and screwing around, right? And I'm not talking anything about Xbox because I know you love it, Jeremy. So
yeah, I was going to see if you wanted to play later, Brian.
No, I know.
I'm just kidding.
But listen, they could use that time to go just get started on something, right? So a lot of people just don't take that action where, you're talking about the 100 part-time opportunities, whatever. There's plenty of time throughout the day when you go home from work and all this. If you really care about, your entrepreneurial spirit and passion, there's time for you to get started and to try to ramp it up while you have that job until it really makes sense for you to financially, quit. Yeah. So it's not just a blanket statement like, oh, quit your job and become an entrepreneur. You need to have a safety net in order to do that because, you don't want to be a homeless entrepreneur either. So, but you got to get started though, right? There's time in your day to get started.
I agree with that, and I have one of my best friends from high school, and if he's listening, he's going to know exactly who I'm talking about. He mows lawns, and he started his lawn mowing business, and I'm proud of him, but he wants to do other stuff, something bigger. I'm like, bro, you sit on a lawnmower for 8 hours a day. You could be listening to audiobooks, podcasts. There's so much growth. I gave him access to my Audible account, which is 400 books. I've spent thousands of dollars on that thing. And he never listens to it. And I'm like, well, this is why you're not going to expand beyond where you're at until you start shifting that mindset. What else are you doing on the lawnmower? Just sitting and thinking of how hot it is? You know what I mean? What do you do? So anyway, yeah, it's simple. Or even when you play Xbox, sometimes when I play Xbox, I'll be listening to an audiobook. So I'm playing, but I'm also learning, and it's just a chill time. But yeah, man, that was great. Last question, Kevin.
Yep.
What's something about Shark Tank, a story or a myth or something that because I want something that you've never shared or maybe rarely shared. What's something about Shark Tank that you've experienced or that just something about the show that most people don't know or most people misunderstand?
Well, okay, I'll share a couple of things. I'll never forget it very early on in one of the early segments we were taping. Barbara Corcoran, she's a wonderful lady. In fact, you'll see her on my book giving me a testimonial on my book, right? So I'm very close with Barbara. So anything I ever say is always meant to be positive. But she's funny as hell. She also gets a little irreverent, and she starts talking about how her first job she felt like a prostitute and this and that, and this is on air live, and boom, they cut tape. Executives came down hey, this is the ABC network. This is the Disney people, okay? This is a business show. We don't need to be talking about prostitution, okay? So, and so that was just sort of a little warning up front about the type of show they were looking for, right? But I'll tell you another one. I'm sitting there, and all the sharks, as the last segment ended, the next people come out, and they're building this nice setup and display and everything. And so, hey, I've got time to kill. I go over, I'm talking to the guys, I'm looking at, I'm taking brochures and reading, and they come over. Kevin, wait a minute, you're not allowed to do that. And I'm like, do what? He said, you're not allowed to be talking to the people in advance. You're not allowed to be looking at, and so the next one, they had this huge curtain that they installed in front of the ones that needed, you know how you see a lot of setup stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, they don't want the sharks to know ahead of time what's coming out. It's funny, just the other day, this week, somebody said, I'll bet you before you did any of took any of those pitches that you guys had a document, you had the pitch, you had a deck, you had information, you had financials, because I can't believe that you would sit there and make those decisions live that you're going to invest millions or hundreds of thousands. And I said, no, not only didn't we have anything, we weren't allowed to have anything. And in fact, if you ever met somebody that was going on Shark Tank as a shark, so if I ran into somebody at a mall the week before they were going to go live, they would be disqualified because the sharks were not allowed to have contact with their people beforehand. So anyway, there was a lot of that was happening, and maybe one other thing I can talk about, just because this was something that, for me, I was looking to get some great deals and all of that. I mean, I will say that when you watch Shark Tank, you've got, you see them do a deal. I think most people have heard that those deals don't always happen exactly the way they went down. Okay. So there's a lot of due diligence, and sometimes things happen and sometimes things change. And of course, deals don't happen. They blow up and have to, just, not happen. So it's, there is a lot of negotiating that goes on behind the scenes after you think you saw the deal get made on the show. Tons of negotiations are still yet to happen, a significant amount of negotiations.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. And I don't know if you remember this, but Barbara invested in Cousin's Maine Lobster, and they were a client of ours for my food truck manufacturing company. So it's crazy how small the business world can be. And you may know this too, Kevin, but there was, I think it was Shark Tank season 2 or 3. There was a casting in Orlando I went to, which, by the way, is how I ended up getting on that West Texas Investors Club, because I got pretty far in the casting and then I didn't make it. And they're like, hey, the casting person got moved to CNBC, and they hit me back up. But the people have been waiting for hours in Orlando. I remember this, literally hours, line wrapped around. Someone gets on stage, and I guess they didn't share this. They were just they can't, if you're a Disney employee or a Sony employee, you can't be on the show because of conflict. And people didn't know that. So in Orlando, Disney is our largest employer. Literally, they're like, yeah, if you're a Disney employee, you can't be here. People were effing pissed. 100 people stormed out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I knew that too. I did hear that. Hey, I have one quick question for you, Jeremy. I get pitched all the time, but lately I've got somebody they're frying the donut hole of a donut. Okay. So, there's, if you were to take the hole out of a donut, fry it, that's like a Greek loukoumata. Okay. And they're selling up to 100,000 pieces a day right now. And they need a manufacturer, because they're doing it themselves with their own equipment. And I know you were in the food truck business, so they have a food truck. They're frying and shipping and doing all of that out of a food truck currently, and then they have another location. But do you have any connections in this world of, kind of commissary manufacturing of food products with fryers?
Yeah, I do have a few connections. Let me reach out to a couple people about that, because that was kind of our world. We did business with those guys and stuff like that. But yeah, we can definitely reconnect on that. And looking forward to working on some public companies together too. I mean, that was actually why I scammed you into coming on the show, because let's do some public deals together. So
let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. It was fun. Good catching up. We'll chat soon, and I'll definitely reach out and try to help where I can there. Okay.
Super. Yeah, and please do get back to me on this donut thing.
Absolutely.
Okay? Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
See you, man.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Openly Outspoken with Jeremy Adams. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player so you get updated when new episodes are live. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support is to leave a 5-star review and share the podcast with people in your life that you feel would benefit from these types of discussions. Visit openlyoutspoken.com for additional details on the show. Find out how to connect with Jeremy on social media and learn more information about Jeremy's personal and business life. We'll see you next time.